Hi everyone. As it was just said, my name is Mairi Bowdler. Thank you all for joining this session here today. I have an educational background in psychology. I actually studied here in Manchester at the Metropolitan University, so it's quite nice to be back. I now live and work in the Netherlands, so I work for the Dutch Research Institute TNO. Today I'm going to be talking about the ALMA-AI project, one deliverable from the project, which looks into psychosocial factors and implications for OSH based on some statistical evidence on regular workplaces. Quick agenda, so I'll talk about the project as a whole, then I'll delve into one of the deliverables, so the report, a bit of background on the report, then I'm going to zoom into one of the chapters that I helped to write from the report, and then some final remarks. So this is the ALMA-AI project. It started last year and it's currently still ongoing. It's actually a PEROSH project, and it consists of more than 16 researchers from 8 different institutes working together. I've listed the institutes here, and we are also being advised by EU OSHA and JRC. These photos are from the 2 in-person sessions we've had so far. This bottom right photo was when EU OSHA very kindly hosted us for the last one in Bilbao. The main aim of the project, it seeks to understand algorithmic management's essence and its implications in terms of occupational safety and health. And we wanted to focus on both the risks and opportunities, and also have a particular focus on psychosocial health as well. I'm going to be referring to algorithmic management with ALMA throughout this presentation. AI, I think you all know by now, stands for artificial intelligence, and OSH, of course, occupational safety and health. Wanted to highlight why we kind of thought it was important to focus on algorithmic management. Of course, there's the scientific and societal importance. We have the crucial EU AI Act in place now, and algorithmic management is considered a high-risk AI system. Also on the right here, it's a graph from Web of Science. We basically searched algorithmic management, and as you can see, there's a large amount of publications coming out on the topic at the minute, so it also shows it's a big interest at the moment. Back to the project, so it's split up into 2 research phases. The first one, a literature review and data analysis study, and the second one, statistical evidence. Today, as I said, I'm going to be focusing on the first research phase, which was the deliverable, the joint scientific report. I've added a QR code of the report. It's now published, so you can read the full report now. It's very easy to find online as well if you type in ALMA-AI and PEROSH. A bit of methods for the whole report. So we used Web of Science. We filtered from the year 2022 to 2024. And our initial screening, we screened on 641 publications. And we basically screened making sure they were algorithmic management focused and OSH focused. And we also wanted to make sure they had direct evidence that we could analyse as well. So in the final report, we analysed 39 publications, 33 of them being scientific and 6 of them being grade literature reports from well-respected institutes. And also of the data, we mainly had quite a representative data sample from mainly Europe, but also thought there was important data elsewhere from Asia, North America and Latin America. And also good to mention, the majority of our sample was from platform workers, so 61% was based on platform work, which kind of represents how algorithmic management was originally being studied. It was mainly being studied in the gig economy, so delivery workers, but there's still a significant amount that is remote workers, which kind of shows how algorithmic management is now spreading also across sectors in remote work as well. In the report, we introduced algorithmic management by recognizing that there are actually, at the moment, many different definitions of it. Yeah, you can see here an example of that. But generally, it's referred to as the use of complex digital systems or AI to manage workers. And in the report, we decided to use this definition, so the use of computer-programmed digital systems to automatically perform management functions that traditionally had been performed by managers or supervisors. We also wanted to highlight that algorithmic management operates as a new form of work. This means that the risk factors associated with algorithmic management and OSH most likely also have a psychosocial nature. So yeah, there's many theories to explain the relationship between psychosocial risks and OSH. There's 2 examples here, but they mainly refer to the working conditions, so the design and organization of work, also social relationships within the workplace. This is the report we kind of decided to use for the whole report, so the model we decided to use for the whole report. It was mainly from a discussion in our second in-person session, where we assessed all the different available models, and we were questioning, do they also apply to algorithmic management and OSH, or do we need to make some changes? So this is the final model. It's mainly an adaptation of a model by Parent, Rashidu and Parker from 2022, but it also has elements of different models in there as well. Essentially, it highlights key psychosocial factors, so job demands, job resources, OSH implications, and we wanted to look at both risks and opportunities there as well. So as I said, as much as I would love to go through the results of the whole report, I can only focus on one specific chapter today. So the chapter myself and the project lead from a research institute in Spain helped write, and that focuses on the statistical evidence on algorithmic management in regular workplaces. And yeah, as I said, we applied this model throughout our report. We split our results section based on this model, so we split it in terms of job demands, job resources, key outcomes for OSH, and then this chapter actually also had a bonus section which looked into potential moderators of the ALMA impact on psychosocial factors and OSH. For this chapter's method, so we found that 7 of the 33 scientific articles applied for this chapter, and 2 of the 6 grey literature reports applied here. Of the grey literature reports, there was one EU OSHA report which used OSH Pulse Survey from 2022, and there was also a Nordic sample that was EU funded, and of the scientific articles there was 1 experimental design, 5 of them used their own data, and then 1 of them used a representative EU sample as well. Also wanted to highlight here, in terms of regular workplaces, the samples that applied for this chapter referred to truck drivers, people in hospitality sector, and also office workers. So onto the results. In terms of job demands, this graph here is an excerpt from the EU OSHA report, which looked into surveillance and monitoring practices of digital technology on remote workers. And it basically found that with the increased amount of technologies, there was also an increased amount of psychosocial risks. The main result that refers to this section is this top one here. With the increased amount of digital technologies, particularly algorithmic management practices, there was an increased amount of severe time pressure or work overload. Another study also found that with the increased amount of algorithmic management, there was an increased amount of the job demand workload. And also here, the same result, an increased amount of workload, but also an increased OSH risk stress, and also increased negative effects on job resources, so negative effects on autonomy, trust, job satisfaction, and job insecurity. This is the second section of the results, so it focuses on job resources. So the main conclusion for this section was that instead of reinforcing job resources to deal with these work demands, ALMA is reducing them. This was just from one of the studies, which shows the negative impact on the job resources, so job autonomy, total rewards, but also a direct negative effect on workplace well-being. Interestingly, though, there's a positive effect from the job resources, which kind of insinuates that there's a potential buffering effect from the job resources. Some more results from different sectors. So in the transportation sector, they found that algorithmic management reduced prosocial motivation, and prosocial motivation is the desire to promote well-being in the workplace. In the hospitality sector, algorithmic management was linked to high employee turnover and discrimination, and employees also reported feeling these following things. In the ICT sector, algorithmic management was linked to loss of creativity, limited combination capability, and hindered goal achievement. And another study which looked at regular workplaces across various sectors, there was also reduced perceived trust and status. The third section of the results looked into OSH risks, and algorithmic management was found to increase OSH risks. The EU OSHA report stated with the more intense use of algorithmic management, it increased these OSH problems by up to 16.5%. And in another report, with the increased degree of algorithmic management, there was registered increased amount of stress. On to the final section of the results, looking into potential moderators for the effects of algorithmic management. One study compared low employee influence and high employee influence, and the results showed positive outcomes on job resources, so the negative effects on job resources were reduced, and also workload was reduced as well. Some potential positive effects found comparing low transparency of these practices and high transparency, and similar effects were found there. This was also backed up by another study looking into truck drivers who felt they were treated more fairly when algorithmic management systems were more transparent, and this also led to an increased perceived justice and decreased intention to quit. So some final remarks. Algorithmic management, I think, so far we can say is reshaping regular workplaces in a rather negative way. It's increasing these job demands, such as workload, responsibilities, but it's also decreasing job resources, such as autonomy, trust, etc. What I would like to end on is I think we should make use of these potential moderating factors, so employee participation and transparency, as they do have the potential to buffer the negative effects of algorithmic management. And of course, as most researchers conclude with saying, we should of course continue researching in this area. Obviously AI is a rapidly expanding field, and we should try and keep on top of it as much as possible. And I do also believe that it's going to be within our workplaces anyway. Let's try and figure out how it can be used in a beneficial way for OSH. Thank you.